Last month I visited Europe for the first time ever in my life. Went to Paris and London. Now, as much as I would have liked to do an on-location video there, it just wasn't feasible on this trip. So I thought in this video I'd do the next best thing. An image review of the pictures I took. Talk about camera settings, equipment I used. Alright, maybe it's not the next best thing. It's maybe like third or fourth, but it's up there. So I'm going to start with an image review, and then if you want to stick around after the image review, I'll tell you a little story about the worst 24 hours of my life, which involved an 11-hour flight and multiple bathrooms. This video might look really long. That's because the first half is the image review, second half is the story. If you just want to see the image review and then hit the bricks once I get to the story, I'm not going to fault you for it. But let's start with the image review. So, leading up to this trip, I was all jazzed to bring a film camera with me. In fact, I was planning on bringing my Fuji GA645Zi and shooting some film in Paris and London. But the closer I got to the trip, the more I realized that was probably not going to be a good idea. Partly because the lens on this camera is so damn slow. The maximum aperture when you're zoomed in is only 6.9, so this thing barely lets in any light. And couple that with the ISO limitations on film compared to digital, I just wouldn't be able to shoot in low light with this. And I was mostly interested in doing handheld nighttime street photography. So I just decided it's not going to be the best choice. Now, after completing the trip, I believed thoroughly that that was the right move. Because aside from the fact that all those technical limitations would have limited what I could have shot and when I could have shot it, I also ended up going through a total of 5 different security checkpoints, each with X-ray machines. The flight to Paris, but also at the Louvre, on the way to London, on the way back from London, and then on the way home from Paris. So 5 different X-ray machines. X-ray machines ruin film, so you have to ask for a hand check every single time. Now, I'm willing to ask for a hand check maybe 2 or 3 times per trip, but I just don't think I want to deal with 5 different security guards rolling their eyes at me because I was too stubborn to just shoot digital. But I actually did shoot some film. I shot Polaroids. I brought my Mint camera SLR670S with me. And this is a fun camera because it's a Polaroid camera, but you can control the shutter speed. So I was actually able to do some nighttime photography with this, which is kind of fun. The Polaroids I took, I do like them. They got a cool vibe to them. You know, it's easy to go to Paris and kind of do all the typical touristy shots as epically as you can. You know, let's get the Eiffel Tower with like an epic sunset behind it. That'll be cool. But I just have no interest in that kind of stuff. I really like taking pictures that are kind of, I don't know, weird and more soft focus and artistic-y type stuff, you know, when I'm going somewhere like this. So the Polaroid pictures fit that bill nicely. But that was the only film I shot. The rest of it I shot digital. Now, once I decided to bring a digital camera on this trip, I had to decide what camera. Now, I have 2 digital cameras. I have a Canon EOS 6D, so DSLR. It's my workhorse camera. It's what I use for all my architectural stuff. And then I have a Canon EOS M50, which I really just use for video. Both of those cameras are, I don't know how to say it. They're boring as hell, man. I just don't want to bring them on a trip. I'm probably not going to end up using them if I bring them because they're just, I don't know, they're not fun to use. They're just kind of like work cameras to me. I'm not knocking you if you got a 6D or an M50. They're great cameras. The image quality is excellent on those. And the lenses are great too. I just don't enjoy using them, probably because I use them for work. So I didn't really want to bring those cameras, which means I needed to get a new digital camera. And I wanted something that would be great for like handheld street photography, something mirrorless, compact, but you know, tough, weather sealed, all that kind of stuff. Now, I've been drooling over the Fujifilm XPro2 for years now. I really love the design. It's one of the sexiest looking cameras I've seen, but I love the hybrid optical and LCD viewfinder. So I've been kind of eyeballing this thing for a while now, but I've never been able to justify purchasing it. After doing a speaking engagement for Fujifilm at a convention in New York, they said they could hook me up with a little bit of a discount on this. Nothing crazy, but it was enough to just give me that little nudge to, you know, go ahead and pull the trigger, buddy. You're getting a little bit of a discount here. Time to buy that camera you've been coveting for so long. So I bought myself a Fujifilm XPro2 in graphite. Beautiful, beautiful graphite. Now, I don't get excited about digital cameras. I just don't. all digital cameras are so damn good now, and they're pretty much all the same. They have all the same features, that they're all just kind of boring and running together. You know, it's like, oh, Canon released a new camera. It's got 65 autofocus points instead of 60. Ooh, let me get in line. I need that thing right now. It's like they're all just kind of boring. But this X-Pro2 is like the only camera I've ever been super excited about. So when I bought it, I was tracking it on UPS, checking the updates. Is it coming today? Is it coming today? I need this thing. Got to get my hands on it. And then once I got it, I started using it immediately. Took it out that night. But even a few months in now, I've used this thing quite a bit. I'm still excited to use it. It's a camera that just makes me want to use it. I love the external controls, the apertures on the lens. You got the external shutter speed, the external ISO. Just, it's built like a film camera, or at least that feels that way to me. So like all the clicky dials and buttons and wheels, they're all external. I'm not having to navigate into menus a whole lot. And then the optical viewfinder, or hybrid optical viewfinder, it's just, I don't know, man, I just love it. I know it might sound like I'm only singing these praises because I've worked for Fujifilm, but trust me, it ain't that. I've been eyeing this thing for a while, and now that I've used it, I'm like a full-blown Fujifilm cult member now. I even got the Artisan Obscura button on the top. I'm full-blown hipster. Jeez, man. But probably my favorite thing about this Fujifilm camera is the Fujifilm film simulation modes. So like, they have these raw processing profiles where you can emulate Fuji Velvia, Fuji Provia, Fuji Astia, color negatives, classic chrome, all this kind of stuff. And they're a lot of fun to play with, but mainly the colors, I really like them, man. The way it renders blues and greens is just, it's interesting. It's a lot different than my Canon, and I really, really like it. But let's look at some of the images. So I'm actually gonna start with the London photos. That was the second part of the trip, but let's look at those first. So I took the usual kind of touristy daytime stuff. It was raining pretty much the whole time we were in London, which was actually kind of cool. Made for like a dreary, wet look, you know. But I was mainly in the daytime. I just shot a few pictures of the architecture. You know, when an American like me travels to London or Paris or something, it's like, there's so many things there that are older than my country. So it's pretty cool to see. It's like, oh, they began construction on this building in the year 900. It's like, what? They had years back then? They had people back then that could make buildings? Like, it's crazy. So seeing all that crazy, intricate old architecture was really cool. But then at night, I did some street photography. And it was pouring rain one night, like just downpour. And apparently it was unusual for the area, because we heard Londoners walking around saying, can you believe this? It's just, this rain is unbelievable. So, really sorry for that accent. To any of my English viewers, that was terrible. But apparently that much rain was a little unusual. Made for really cool pictures though. Now, you'll notice a theme throughout this video. A lot of the pictures I took were taken through glass. So I was shooting through some sort of window. And that was spurred on by something early on in the trip, which I'll get to in a minute. But so lots of pictures shooting through glass. But taking pictures at night in the rain in London, lots of cool stuff, man. Fogged up bus windows and things like that. It was really cool. Also found this little neon sushi sign down a random alleyway with lots of great little splashes of color going through there. In the X-Pro2, because it's weather sealed, didn't have to worry about the rain. So I shot in the rain, had no problems with the camera. But let's talk about Paris. So the last hotel we stayed at was way up at the top of the hotel. We were eye level with all the, you know, Paris rooftops, which was really cool. So I was playing a lot with shooting through the window of the hotel room, with the curtains coming into the frame a little bit, kind of framing the backs or the rooftops outside, and just trying to capture that Paris vibe, the Paris color palette, the Paris vibe, the Paris architecture. I just wanted it to feel like Paris. So I was happy with how those came out. Also did just kind of the touristy stuff, you know, pictures of the Eiffel Tower. We went to the top of the Arc de Triomphe and took pictures from the top there. So kind of some touristy stuff, but not a ton of it. Along the river there, I think it's the river Seine or the river Seine. I think it's River Seine. But along the river there's There was like this old greenhouse or something. I don't even know exactly what it was. It looked almost abandoned. But it was glass walls in kind of an archway, and old vines going up it and everything. It had a lot of character, but that was cool to stumble upon because had a real interesting look to it, and it wasn't your typical Paris photos. In fact, these really could have been taken anywhere. But then my very favorite pictures from the entire trip were actually the first ones I took. I was in Paris, and while we were there were protests going on, which occasionally led to rioting, which, you know, as they do. It was the Yellow Vest riots, if you saw that in the news. But these riots resulted in a lot of damage around the city. Now, luckily, we were not there during the riots. They only riot on Saturdays, which I think is hysterical, because it's like, oh, that's how courteous. It's like, no, we're not gonna mess up your work days. I know you got work to do. We'll riot on the weekends. It's okay. So they riot on the weekends. We weren't there on the weekend. That's when we were in London. But we did see a lot of the damage that they had wrought in the city there. And so a lot of shattered windows, a lot of torn out ATMs, a lot of graffiti. But I came across a really beautiful and one of the most unique sights I've ever seen. And I was just so grateful that I had my camera with me and that I was there in Paris at that time. We went down to kind of the fashion-y area, so where all the nice high-end stores are. And the place had been smashed. A lot of smashed-in windows, boarded up windows, which is sad. But there was a silver lining, which is there was one store where all the windows were smashed and shattered, but the displays were still up, the dresses in the window, the lights were still on, and so it created this gorgeous juxtaposition of shattered windows in front of this these beautiful dresses and clothes. And I immediately knew that's like, oh, this is the kind of photography that I live for. It's like unique situation, beautiful contrast. It's almost poetic in what it's showing. You have this violent, shattered, sharp foreground element, and then this soft, beautiful thing behind it. You know, it's like it's this awesome contrast. And I wanted to highlight that contrast. So what I did is I shot it with a really shallow depth of field, so a wide aperture. I opened up my aperture real wide to blur out the background, focus on the glass, and what that did is that put the background out of focus a little bit, put the dress out of focus a little bit, which made it softer. And then by focusing on the glass, that made it super sharp. So then that further highlighted the contrast between the sharp, violent foreground element and this soft, beautiful, you know, artistic background element. I really love these pictures. This is what spurred me on to shoot through windows the whole trip, because this was actually the first thing I shot, or one of the first things I shot, and then so I was just obsessed with shooting through windows. I really hope one day I can print these really big as a face mount plexiglass. So face mount plexiglass is when they take the print and they mount it face up to plexiglass. And so the print actually looks like you're kind of looking through a window. But this will work so well for that because it'll look like the plexiglass is shattered from a distance. You can get up there and see all the detail of the cracks in the windows and everything. So I just got to find some place that will want to hang those prints. So hopefully I'll make them. If I do make them, I'll make a video. But those are my favorite pictures from the trip. The Fuji made it possible to take those pictures. I could shoot handheld, wide aperture, blur out the background, didn't have to crank the ISO ridiculously high. But that made the whole trip worth it, to be honest. I really am happy with those pictures. And by the way, probably just as important as having the right camera for the job is having the right bag for the job. And before the trip, I bought this Tenba DNA Messenger 15 bag. I know that sounds like I just did a commercial for them. They don't know I'm doing this. It's a messenger bag, which I've never had before, but I knew that would be useful if I'm planning on doing street photography. But I really love this bag, largely because it's a typical messenger bag that opens up with a flap, but it's got silent Velcro. Look at this. That's this Velcro. It's silent. But you don't have to open it through the flap like this if you don't want to. It's got a top access point, which that made the trip. I know this sounds crazy, but having a bag where the camera is easy to get to, it's ready, and you're not fighting your bag to get your camera out, makes all the difference in the world for me. Because if it's a pain in the ass to get my camera out, I'm probably going to take 25% less pictures. Because I'll talk myself out of the photo. It's like, oh, that's a great photo, but it's probably not going to be that great. I don't want to get my bag out. So if it's a backpack and I got to set it down and unzip it and pull it out and get the camera, it's like, it's not going to happen. But this bag was around my body the entire trip pretty much. I always had my camera with me, and it was really easy to get in and out of that bag. So then I ended up taking a lot of pictures I might not have taken otherwise. So big ups to Tenba for making a good bag. This DNA Messenger 15, slim version by the way, was perfect. And then big ups to Fujifilm for making an awesome camera. All right, so that's the image review. Now for anyone who wants to stick around, let me tell you about the worst 24 hours of my life. So, the night before we were to fly home to LA, went out and got drinks and some food with a new friend. Shout out to Matt in Paris. It's great to meet you. Hope I get to see you again. But we got drinks with him, had a little bit of food, and then as the night wound down, we made our way back to the hotel. I was feeling great. And then I got to bed, woke up in the middle of the night with a splitting headache. And I thought, oh God, drank too much, didn't drink enough water. Had a few beers and didn't drink any water. I'm hungover. So I just start pounding water, and then I'm gonna go back to bed. I'll sleep this thing off. Wake up a couple hours later after pounding that water, and headache's worse. And now there's a tinge of nausea. I'm like, man, I really didn't think I drank that much. All right, just nurse it out, just drinks water, took a hot shower, try and get the steam in there, and control my breathing, all this kind of stuff. Like, it's fine, all right, it's just a hangover. I'll get past it. But we're leaving today. I go back to bed for a couple more hours, hoping to just get a couple more hours in before we got to pack and get on a long plane flight. So I wake up for the morning. I'm feeling even worse. Now the nausea is getting pretty bad. So I'm still pounding water thinking it's just a hangover. Got the water going. I take some Dramamine to try and get my nausea under control, and we're starting to pack up. We got to get an Uber driver here at about 10 a.m. to get to the airport. Airport's maybe 45-minute drive, hour drive maybe. So we're packing up. As 10 o'clock gets closer and closer, I'm starting to feel worse and worse and worse. Certainly I'm going to yak at some point. But we got to check out. We got to get the cab and everything, so I got to push it down. So the Uber finally comes, 10 a.m. Now I'm feeling my worst. And now I'm just worried I'm going to puke in this guy's car. So we get in the car, we start driving, which, quick side note, people drive like lunatics in Paris. So that's not really helping. There's like no lines in the road or anything, so it's a lot of this and going around the roundabouts and everything, so that's not helping my nausea. I'm in the back seat, feeling like I'm going to puke. I really don't want to puke on this guy's carpet because that's mean. So luckily I have a Ziploc bag in my messenger bag that I was keeping my Polaroid film in. So I pull that out and just hold it in my hand. It's like, okay, if you're going to yak, you do it in the back, do it in the back. If you're going to yak, but don't yak, don't yak. So the only thing I can do to keep from puking is rolling down the back window, sticking my head out the window. It's the middle of winter, so it's like 35 degrees out, and letting the wind just pound me in the forehead, and getting some of that fresh air in. I'm just trying to control my breathing, letting that cold air hit my head, and that's keeping me from puking. My poor fiance's freezing her ass off because I got the window rolled down, and she's just rubbing my shoulder, giving me updates on the ETA to the airport. 10 more minutes, 10 more minutes, 8 more minutes, 8 more minutes. Just, we'll get you a bathroom in 5 minutes, in 5 minutes. And I'm just like, okay, thanks, okay. And the driver, poor guy, he sees me with my head out the window looking like I'm gonna puke. And he's like, do you want me to roll down all the windows? He says it in French, but we get what he's saying. Do you want me to roll down all the windows? And no, it's okay. We'll just keep the back window rolled down. We're getting closer and closer to the airport. I'm feeling worse and worse and worse. I'm so close to puking. We finally get to the airport. We get the luggage out, and we got to make our way into the airport. But the thing you got to understand about me is I'm not good at being nauseous. I don't get nauseous often. If I get sick, I rarely get nauseous. So when it comes hard. And I feel and look like I'm dying. I'm sure it's embarrassing to be next to because it looks like I'm just being over dramatic, but I'm just like, oh God, oh. But that's what it feels like. because I'm not a good vomiter. Now we get to the airport. It's 2 days away from the busiest travel day of the year, literally. 2 or 3 days away from the busiest travel day of the year. We get to the airport, it's packed, like to the brim. The line to get through passport check is like the longest line I've ever seen. And I've been to Disneyland. It's just this crazy long line that we're eventually gonna have to stand in and get through passport check. But we get in the airport, it's jam-packed. Where's the bathroom? Where's the bathroom? We're looking for signs. My vision's like blurry at this point. And we're trying to find a bathroom. I'm just like, it's not gonna happen. And then there's a trash can right here. We're at the entrance. People walking by, coming into the airport. People going by to get in the passport line. There's a trash can right here. My body sees a trash can and says, that'll do. So then now, let's do this. So I just get over the trash can and I just start yelling into the trash can. Because the other thing about me is I'm a violent puker. Every time I puke, I'm convinced I'm breaking a rib because my body's just like, get it out! So I'm just yakking, like yelling into this trash can in the middle of the busiest airport ever, right next to the entrance, just, and then I can't breathe when I'm vomiting. So then I've got to catch my breath at the end. So it's just, and it's just coming up again and again, just like from way deep down. And it's just coming and coming and coming. My body finally decides we got it all out, we're good. After a while, then I get up, I like collapse. I don't want to make eye contact with anybody because I know everyone just saw what I did. So I collapse next to the trash can and I'm just there. And my poor fiance, she always looks amazing. She's wearing like a fur coat and like high heels and stuff. And she's like rubbing my back. It's okay. And I got like vomit coming out of my nose and my mouth. I'm like, can you just find me some napkins, please? She gets me some napkins. I clean myself up. Then we got to go check in. So we get through Delta or Air France. We check in. That goes smoothly. They were great. But now we got to get into that passport line. I'm feeling a little better, but it took it out of me so hard that I'm like, I can barely keep my weight up for a long period. So I'm literally like leaning on the suitcase until I have to physically move. But we got to get in this super long passport line. Now, luckily, my lady friend, she's smart. So she sees that, oh, there's a sign there. It's like Air France priority boarding. And it's like a different passport line. We did like the Delta Comfort Plus thing, the Air France Comfort Plus thing. So she thinks, maybe we can get in there. So she goes and checks, asks, they say, yes, thank God we can bypass this giant line and go to a slightly less giant line. So we get in that line, passport control. We're waiting in line there. And then my fiance says, I'm starting to feel it. She's like an hour behind me. Whatever I got, stomach flu, food poisoning, whatever, she got it too, but like an hour later. So now she's starting to feel it, but we're boxed in this line. And she's like, I need a bathroom. I need one now. We don't have a bag now. And she's not going to yak in the middle of a busy terminal anyway. So we flag someone down because it's the airport. You can't just get out of line and then hope to get back in line. They'll tackle you. So we flag someone down, try to explain to them. They speak French, speak English, but you know, I don't know how to explain spewing is going to happen soon in broken English. So we flag them down. She's going to yak. She got food poisoning. We need to get to the bathroom, but we don't want to lose our place in line. Can you help? They understand. Super nice. They escort her out, take her to the bathroom. She takes care of her business. She comes back. The whole time I'm waiting, just leaning on my suitcase. Oh, God. She comes back finally in line. We finally get through passport control. We get onto a tram. That tram takes us to the terminal. We get off the tram. Now I'm starting to feel it again. But this time, out the other end. So I need to find a bathroom fast. I find a bathroom. I go destroy that thing. Come back out. She's waiting for me. We track down some Cokes and some Pringles or crackers or something. We just need to get something in our stomachs. I mostly want to get something in my stomach for when I puke again. I actually have something to puke up. So we're trying to find Cokes or whatever, but nothing's helping. Our body's just rejecting everything. No intake. Done. Just outtake only. So it's not really letting us drink or letting us eat anything. So we just go and get on the plane. Now the plane ends up getting delayed on the tarmac for like 45 minutes. Doesn't go anywhere. We're just sitting in our seats before an 11-hour flight for another 45 minutes. I'm feeling quite a bit better at this point, but evidently she's not. Because I look over and she's going to town on a vomit bag. So I get up, okay, all right, okay, go to the bathroom. She goes off to the bathroom, takes care of that business, comes back, sits down. Now we got to wait more and more time for the plane to finally take off. We're staring down the barrel of an 11-hour flight, both feeling like crap. When I get food poisoning or stomach flu, I also get a fever. And so I'm feverish, my body's aching. I got like, chills and all that kind of stuff that comes with a fever, but mainly I'm just achy. So for the next 11 hours, she ends up yakking 6 times on the flight. I tried to yak 6 times, but my body was like, I could have you throw up and you'd feel better, but nah, I'm just gonna make you feel like crap the entire time. Every couple hours, I would get up because I would feel so nauseous and I would go to the bathroom like, please just puke, please puke. I'm 6'2". I'm in an airplane bathroom on the ground, hugging the toilet like, please, please just puke. I'm putting my finger down my throat trying to get myself to puke. One of the times I actually went to the bathroom right after some chick destroyed it. So I have my face planted in a toilet, smells horrendous, but I don't even care because I just puke. Please, please puke. But nothing's happening. So I'm thinking, maybe I can get it coming out the other end. Try doing out the other end. I'm empty, man. My body's like, no, there's nothing else. We got it all. I'm just gonna make you feel like crap for the next 11 hours. So I go back to my seat and every couple hours I'm doing this routine. The worst part of it was they served meals on this flight and the smell of food, the thought of food made us nauseous. But now they're going around serving hot meals. Foie gras, chicken with stink sauce on it or whatever they had, I don't know, cheese, like just stinky things, just pass it around, everybody eat. Just like, we're just smelling it, we're like, oh my God, we can't. Like, I have my shirt over my nose, I broke open a mint and I'm smelling that and I'm like, you want to smell this? It helps a little bit just to try and cover up the smell of foie gras. And 11 hours, we don't get a wink of sleep because we're so achy and tired and nauseous that we're just awake, we can't lay down, flights are already uncomfortable for me because I'm so damn tall, but we finally get through it. It felt like torture, but we finally get through it, we get off the plane. We land at LAX, Los Angeles Airport, at like 4:45. By the time we're at the curb, it's like 5:15 or something like that. And for anyone outside of California, it's hard to encapsulate how crappy the traffic is here at rush hour. It's about 50 miles from the airport back to Orange County where I live. That should take 50 minutes to 59 minutes if there's no real traffic. At 5 o'clock in the evening, it's gonna take you 2 hours, maybe a little more. I feel like it would be faster to walk home from LAX, but we got luggage, so what are we gonna do? So we now got a 2-hour Uber drive ahead of us, still miserable, still hurting, still achy and nauseous, and we're dying of thirst because our bodies wouldn't even let us intake water, really. So we're dying of thirst, but we finally get home, we collapse. The only upside is that we were so exhausted and we had been up and awake for about 22 to 24 hours straight that we were able to go straight to bed. 10 p.m., we passed out, 9:30 I think it was, we passed out. We got immediately back on a California schedule. No jet lag, no adjusting to the new time zone. We were so exhausted that we just clicked right into it. And then I ended up feeling like crap for the next week as my body was catching up to being normal again. So that was the worst 24 hours of my life. Fun stuff. That was the only downside of the trip though. Pictures are great, Paris was great, London was great. Everyone there was super nice, by the way. Quick side note, I loved London, man. The food was phenomenal. I don't know why everyone's always complaining about English food. It was great. Maybe it's just because I'm like full-blooded English, so it matches my palate. But the fish and chips were excellent. Great beer. Delicious breakfast, by the way. I know people think like English breakfast is weird. I loved it, man. Delicious. So I can't wait to go back to England. Paris was great too, of course. Yeah, London, man. Loved it there. That's where my heritage is. So, there you have it. Image review. Sorry I couldn't do an on-location video on this one, but hopefully this is a nice consolation prize. All right, everybody. Thanks for watching. See you next time.